Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and for today's video we're going to be doing a review of the 2021 NRL All-Stars game between the Indigenous All-Stars and the Maori All-Stars. Now the first thing we're going to talk about is obviously the score. Lackluster score. It was 10-all. They ended up with a draw. At the end of the game, there was a chance for the Indigenous side to win. I think they took the two thinking there was going to be an extra time. Obviously, there wasn't, and it ended up being a 10-all draw. A late stupid penalty to James Fisher-Harris. I don't know what he was doing. He just rushed out from, not even marker. I was going to say marker, but he was just on the try line because the Indigenous side were on the attack, looking to wrap up the game, or looking to steal the game, I should say. And obviously, he rushed out, gave away a penalty, and then proceeded to complain about it, which I couldn't figure out. He was sitting there and he's like, "Oh, what happened? What did I do?" And then you look at the replays and he was so offside. It was so ridiculous. It almost was like blatant. It was like when I played the Rugby League Live 4 game and I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to concede here. May as well just give away a penalty." And sometimes that doesn't even work. But for Fisher-Harris, it definitely worked. But that's what it seemed like. It seemed so blatant. Like it had to be on purpose. And if it wasn't, I don't know what he was thinking. Because seriously, it was so blatant. And I keep saying it's so blatant, but it just was. Other than that, he actually had a pretty fairly solid game. But I feel like that can be said about most of the players in this game. Look, the quality of football wasn't great, let's be honest. I think if this was presented in the NRL, like if this was like a round 3 game or something, you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, yeah, both of these sides are pretty shit. But at the same time, we know it's not round 3 of the NRL. We know these guys haven't been playing with each other for a long time. It's just those teams that are just thrown together, and hopefully they stick. Now, the Maori side initially would have been majority of like the New Zealand side, but in the end, it ended up being a lot of guys coming out of like reserve grade and that sort of stuff. I mean, Jeremy Marshall King, Benji Marshall were in the side last minute, and there's like half of your spine. So due to the COVID stuff, they pretty much had to sort of just throw a team together rather than the team that they actually wanted. So I can understand there not being a lot of fluid play and that sort of stuff. But I mean, for both of these sides, I thought the Indigenous side, Maori side, I thought there'd be a lot of eyes up football, play what's in front of you, but it didn't seem to be the case. There just wasn't much happening, and I don't know if that's the new rules that they brought in. If you're unaware of what some of the new rules are, the one in particular that I can think of is that when the ball goes out of play, they just do a quick tap instead of a scrum. Now, a lot of people have been calling for the scrum to die, and I'm not a big proponent of that. I really like the scrums. Obviously, you can't go back to the 80s or whatever when players were head clashing and punching each other and eye gouging and all that sort of stuff. The actual contest of the scrum's gone, but the whole process of getting the players together, being more space for the backs, and in particular the later years now where they're putting forwards out there up against the backs, I thought it created a great opportunity for a nice little try, but they've taken that away. They've taken away breathers for the players. The whole obsession with speeding up the game, I think last night was a great representation of it not always being a good thing. We saw them having to play quarters, which is fair enough. It's essentially a trial game at this point. They haven't got a lot of miles in their legs in terms of on the field and that sort of stuff. So I understand the quarters, but just in terms of speeding up the game, I mean, we had so many subs and all that sort of stuff. Yet players seemed blown up at the end of the game, or not even end of the game. About 60 minutes in, they looked done for, and you can just see lots of drop ball and stuff. And I think there has to be a correlation between all the errors that were made last night and the fact that players are fatigued, and also just these new rule changes. Now, like I said, there's going to be people who are saying, "Oh, well, it's a good thing they're fatigued," blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. But I disagree. I really would rather have a game of football rather than have all these guys be tired. And they keep talking about, "Oh, well, the little guys are going to take advantage of it," but they're as blown up as anyone. They're as tired as anyone as well. So it just wasn't happening, because if by that logic, then the guys like Cody Walker and stuff would have been absolutely running rampant, and it just wasn't happening. Now, I was talking about the game not being great in quality. It wasn't great in quality in terms of silky plays and good solo runs and that sort of stuff. There was a few here and there that were decent, but there was some good play. There was definitely some big hits. There was a lot of big hits, a lot of hard contact. So in terms of the forwards going at it, they definitely were going at it. So Russell Packer had some good runs despite me shitting on him. Watene Zelezniak was getting in and doing a lot of hard yards, doing a lot of stuff. He's also trying to take off Johnson's head, I think it was, trying to take his head off. But there were a lot of hard runs done by the players. So that in that aspect, it was good. We saw them getting in, having a go. And that was entertaining in itself, seeing the big hits and that. But yeah, there's just the silky plays and the tries just weren't there. And usually when you think of All-Stars game, even like NBA, it's all about the show. It's all about scoring the points and all that sort of stuff. So there just wasn't happening. But I mean, it was a credit to the defense too, because both defense was quite good. The Maori side had a lot of ball in the first half, a lot of good opportunities, and we saw Dylan Walker get absolutely destroyed every single time, thrown over the sideline. And on the other side, you had Joey Manu up against Jack White, and a good little battle there. Not in the sense that Jack White really did much, but a good sense, like he was a pretty good defender. He sort of shut down Joey Manu for most of the game, except for the intercept. We'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, in terms of the tries, we saw Alex Johnson score a try. Probably the highlight of the game, apart from all of the pre-match stuff. We all know the Harker and all that stuff is really, really good. Whether it be the New Zealand side, Maori side, all the Islander sort of sides. The Harkers are awesome. You had the Indigenous side doing their war dance. It was great to see. They're obviously the highlight. But in terms of the actual game highlights, not too many because there weren't many tries. But Alex Johnson, a nice little grubber from Latrell Mitchell, put him over in the corner. And it was just funny, Andrew Johns was just talking about how Latrell Mitchell, he shouldn't be playing fullback. I'd put him in the centres. He's a strike centre. He's not a fullback. You don't want him touching the ball much. And then the next time he literally touched the ball, he puts in a deft little grubber, perfectly weighted, and Alex Johnson runs straight onto it and score. And I was like, Andrew Johnson, is there a guy who was that good and has the worst takes on football? Is there anyone worse than Andrew Johns? He's an incredible footballer, but in terms of just all of his hot takes, none of them seem to be any good. I haven't seen him literally talk about anyone and then be right on them. Usually comes with all these just ridiculous things, and this Latrell Mitchell was another one, and it was just funny how it's just egging his face within seconds. But yeah, Alex Johnson scores, does the interview, because if you were unaware, after they had scored, Jordan Rookie did one, I think it was Watene Zelezniak did one, whoever scored, they would do like a little interview, Sam Thido, whoever would get on the field, and then have like a social distance thing, and then they sort of just ask him about the try and ask him about the game in general, and they'd sit there and talk, and Alex Johnson just dropped an F-bomb and was like, oh shit. I think his interview was actually with Thurston, and yeah, he dropped the F-bomb and was like, oh shit, why did you put me on TV? And then went off. So I thought that was a highlight of it, and I think everybody enjoyed it. Obviously, you don't want swearing on TV, but it is pretty funny when it happens. Now, if I'm going to talk about Johnson's try, I should talk about the other ones. Now, the first try came to Jordan Riki. This is what it also was going to talk about. It took so long for the first try to happen. You'd think, like I said, all these All-Stars games, you think the points would be flowing, especially with the sides. You've got the Indigenous side and the Maori side, all the attacking flair. And there were no tries. Every time they'd get in good field position, they'd throw a shit pass or get thrown over the sideline. A lot of times they got thrown over the sideline. I've already touched on it, Dylan Walker a couple of times, but just a lot of people going over the sideline, drop balls, all that sort of stuff. Lots of kicks, lots of early kicks too, like second, third tackle, just dumb stuff. And I couldn't figure out why they were doing it. But I digress. I'm going to talk about Jordan Riki here. I thought he was actually a standout. In a game where there weren't many standouts, I thought Jordan Riki was really good, especially for a guy who hasn't played much first grade, looking to take a spot in the Broncos side. David Fifita's gone. Thought he was actually quiet, I will say. But Jordan Riki, I thought he definitely outplayed him. I mean, David Fifita played, 71 minutes or something. Like, the minutes were there, but just the effectiveness wasn't. But yeah, Riki, good impact, was running good lines. There was a couple of times, I think there was one where he got, not taking him out of the ball, but they knocked the ball down where he could have went over and scored. And then the try that he actually did score, Benji hit him perfectly, went over, scored. I don't know if he actually got the ball down. I mean, I don't think anyone knows. The referee gave it, but there was so many bodies around, and you definitely didn't see the ball hit the ground, but nonetheless, it was a try, and I thought he had a really good game. Benji had glimpses. I mean, it was just cool seeing him and Jeremy playing, and probably the first and only time they'll get to play. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, Jordan Riki got the try, a decent little one there. It wasn't nothing too flash. It was just hitting a hole at the line, and it eventually stuck. I mean, you have that many chances, something got to stick. So the Maori side got the first try. Then, as I touched on earlier, Watene Zelezniak absolutely leveled Alex Johnson. They got a penalty. Off of that, Fogarty just finds Joey Manu perfectly. Joey Manu runs onto it. He's probably never hit a hole perfectly in his life like that. Cooper Cronk could have been passing him balls. Luke Keary, they would have thrown a better pass for him than what Jamal Fogarty did. It honestly baffles me why he threw the pass anyways. Like, you're a halfback, a first grade halfback, and he's like right there, and you just throw the pass anyways. But yeah, he throws the ball. Joey Manu gets it. I was actually surprised with the lack of pace Joey Manu showed. For a guy who's played a bit of fullback and that, a bit of wing, I always thought he was quicker than that. He nearly got run down. I think he would have got there if he had to, but he passed the ball to Watene Zelezniak, the guy who just took Johnson's head off. Probably should have been sin bin, and he goes over and scores. And that's what I want to talk about as well. Sin binnings. 2 sin binnings in the game. The first one was, it's just stupidity. The first one was just dumb as. I can't figure out why you go for a shoulder charge in 2021. I think it was Musgrove. He went in there, he shoulder charged the guy. Didn't even get much of it. It wasn't even a good shoulder charge. Him in the head, though. The guy just bounced off and kept running. And then there was like, oh, well, I guess that was a shoulder charge. I mean, he did the motion and everything. It wasn't very good. And then they're like, sin binning. And then Andy Johns goes, oh, wow, he's a big human. Like, what a comment. What a comment, Joey. But just, I don't understand the whole shoulder charge thing. Like, if you're going to do it, absolutely level someone. Don't come in with the shittest shoulder charge of all time and then get sin bin for it. It was just crap. And the fact that the other team couldn't even... And the fact the Indigenous side didn't even take advantage of it and score, I mean, I think this is what I mean by the game wasn't that good in terms of the silky skills and all that sort of stuff, because they couldn't even score with an extra man. And then later on in the game, the Indigenous side had a sin binning as well. Tyrone Peachey got sin bin just for pushing someone. I think they got like a quick tap or something and he just pushed them. It was just another dumb thing. Honestly, it was like a typical Tyrone Peachey move. Just boneheaded move. And yeah, that was kind of the moral of the game, I think. There was a couple glimpses of good stuff, and then there was dumb shit like that. But I will talk about the last try. I already touched on the last try. It was Alex Johnson one. It was a nice little grubber. Went through and, well, actually it was Latrell Mitchell who did it, but Alex Johnson on the receiving end scores it, and the Indigenous side had the lead. And then right at the end of the game, like I talked about at the very start, Fisher Harris gives away the penalty, and they take the 2 thinking they had more time, or thinking they was going to extra time. I'm assuming they thought it was going to extra time, because you could see there was a bit of a panic when they figured out it wasn't going to extra time, of them like, oh shit, and then Latrell's going, go back, I'm going to take the goal. He did it, and they had a few chances, but yeah, no, at the end of the day, they didn't get the job done. And I think they just, I guess, 1-1. It still remains. It says it's 1-1-1 in the record books, in terms of, 1 win for both sides, 1 draw, 1 loss. So look, it was a bit lackluster the whole game, but it was good to see the NRL back. It was good to see crowds. The atmosphere was good. The whole pre-match was good. Even in terms of the game not being great, it was just the fact that the NRL was back that it was a good thing to watch. I will say at times I was like sort of zoning out a little bit, but I think that's just bound to happen. I do that with every game, to be honest with you. But yeah, this one, it's just the quality wasn't great, but it was good to see the NRL back. So that's my review of the game. Overall, not a great game, but it was a good spectacle. It was good to see, and I'm glad it's there. And I was pretty happy for the NRL to be back. All day I was waiting for it, and I was like, all right, sweet, the NRL's back in a couple of hours. Even the women's game, watched the women's game. There was actually some pretty good skills in that. Maori side tore up the Indigenous side. Absolute destruction by them. Some nice little tries there. But just starting with that, going into the men's game, the game itself wasn't entertaining, but the overall sort of night was good. So it was good vibes, good stuff. So I was happy with that. Leave in the comment section below, what did you think of the NRL All-Stars game in 2021? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Did you think there was any guys that was a particular man of the match? Because, like, honestly, I don't think there was anyone who was an absolute standout. I know they gave it to Fisher Harris, despite his error at the end, which it just says it all that he got the man of the match. I thought Jordan Ricky was pretty good. I thought Latrell Mitchell was good at times. Look, there were some guys who had some little moments, but there were some bad moments too. So it's hard to pick an actual standout. But yeah, leave in the comment section below who was your man of the match. And also while you're at it, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also make sure to turn on notification bells. It is very important these days. Let you be notified immediately. You don't have to worry about the sub boxes. And also you just get a little notification on your phone. Click on it. Oh, Luke's uploaded. Sweet. I'm going to watch it. And that's all you have to do. Also, after you've done that, make sure you go ahead and give me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT for the most part. Mr. Luke just on Facebook. Been posting on there a little bit. Mostly just links to the videos and a few little hot takes. Maybe some Andrew Johns style hot takes on there. But yeah, that's all I got to say for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Stay tuned on the channel for more NRL content. Going to be posting plenty. NRL season just about to start, so plenty of stuff to talk about. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. See yous.